In our previous lesson, we have learned about what a quadratic function is. So basically, it is just some numbers that represent on how a graph shape like, okay? If the A increase, decrease, if the B increase, decrease, or if the C increase, decrease, okay? It will have an impact on how the graph shape like. And in this lesson, we'll learn about what a quadratic expression is. A quadratic expression is just the part where it doesn't have the fx. Okay, where it doesn't have the fx. So this one is actually not to use to represent how a graph shape like, but is actually used to solve some mathematical problems, to do some mathematical operations on it. Alright, so this is known as the quadratic expression. It is without the fx. Okay, so without the fx, it's just focusing on the right hand side of the quadratic function. And there's something called as quadratic equation as well. Alright, there's something called as quadratic equation as well. What is quadratic equation? Quadratic equation is quadratic expression with having equals 0 on the right hand side. Or you can say that when the quadratic function fx turns into the 0, that is known as the quadratic equation. So in conclusion, quadratic expression is the basic form of all these numbers, but quadratic function is having the fx in front of it, but quadratic equation is having a equals to 0 at the very end of it. Okay, and these are the differences between quadratic function, quadratic expression, and also quadratic equation. And for now, we look at how you will be tested on quadratic expression. Now, express the area of the above rectangle in meter square in a quadratic expression. Okay, ungkapkan luas segi empat tepat di atas dalam meter square dalam satu ungkapan kuadratik. So, if you're about to express in a quadratic expression, do you still remember on how quadratic expression looks like? Okay, quadratic expression is the one without fx. And it is also the one without equals to 0. So it's actually the basic form of it lah. Alright, ax squared plus bx plus c. And if you would like to write it in that form, you have to first determine the area. So how do you determine the area? How do you calculate the area of rectangle? With length multiplies with the width, right? Length multiplies with the width. So the length is 5x plus 2 and the width is 3x minus 1. So multiply these two together. Okay, so area loss equals to 5x plus 2 multiplied with 3x minus 1. So how do you multiply these two brackets? Okay, there's one simple way. Okay, so first 5x multiplied with 3x, then 5x multiplied with negative 1, then 2 multiplied with 3x, then 2 multiplied with negative 1. Okay, so the first multiply with the third, the first multiply with the fourth, then second multiply with the third, and second multiply with the fourth. So you just have to remember 1, 3, 1, 4. Okay, 2, 3, 2, 4. This is the sequence of how you multiply 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4. Now, 5x multiply by 3x, so you get 15x squared. Then 5x multiplied with negative 1, you'll get negative 5x. 2 multiplied with 3x, you will get positive 6x. 2 multiplied with negative 1, you will get negative 2. That's it. But now you have to solve the remaining one. Alright, negative 5x and positive 6x. Okay, this can be solved together. So negative 5 plus 6, answer is positive 1. So positive 1x, you just have to write positive x. And now you compare it with the quadratic expression. This is known as quadratic expression. You have ax squared plus bx plus c formation, right? 15x squared plus x minus 2. And remember to write in the unit of meter square. Okay, m squared dalam meter square. So remember your final answer should be including with the unit. Alright, and this is how you express the area in a quadratic expression. But what if you are requested to express the area in a quadratic function? If for a quadratic function, there is actually a fx in front of the quadratic expression. So if there's an fx in front of the quadratic expression, it is known as the quadratic function. So instead, okay, I'll just move my head right here. Okay, instead of writing the area, instead of writing loss, you let the area, you katakan loss as Lx. Alright, because now you have to represent it with Lx at the left hand side. So loss now change to Lx. Lx equals to 5x plus 2 times 3x minus 1. Then you solve the remaining, answer is still the same, 15x squared plus x minus 2 meters squared. So remember, when you're requested to express in quadratic function, remember to include the fx or lx, okay, whatever you do, okay, whatever you like to name it as. It can be hx, it can be lx, it can be fx, okay, you just name, okay, whatever alphabet that you like, alright? And okay, here is some of my advice here. Alright, beside memorizing area, you also have to remember on how to calculate for perimeter and volume as well, because in the examination you will be tested on determining perimeter, area, or volume. Okay, there are some exercises that requested you to find for the shaded region, or some parts that are being colored in black color. Okay, those are the exercises that requested you and tested you on your knowledge on calculating perimeter, area, and volume. So please hafalkan all the formula. Okay, although in your examination these formulas are given, but I do not want you to discover of all this formula in your examination. You must have already embedded in your head. You must have already learned all this. Okay, so that you, in the examination, you won't be panicking around. Okay, you already know how to apply the formula. Okay, so you have to go through all this first. All right, not panicking in your examination. All right. Okay, and that's the end of this lesson. And in our next lesson, we'll be learning about how to solve a quadratic equation. Alright, and see you in the next lesson.